Hey you fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we've got a crammed episode 114.
One day, I shall come back.
Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we?
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
I have the advantage of being slightly ahead of you. Sometimes behind you, but normally ahead of you.
Well, the trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear. And it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
A meteor storm, and the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose.
Run for your life.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Just remember who's standing in your way. Look at the eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows. You can take bottle tops off with these.
Howdy do, Who fans. Yes, welcome aboard the TARDIS for episode 114. We have got a busy one for you today due to the release of a certain spin-off show, which we'll be talking about in a little bit of detail a bit later on.
Yeah, I don't think I know what you think of it. I think have you actually said on any social media? No, you've managed to keep quiet, haven't you? Because I'm quite intrigued to know, because you weren't excited at all about Class. So has your opinion changed? I can't wait to find out.
Yes, I've kept very tight-lipped because I suspected that we would need to talk about it on the show. So there you are.
Yeah,
I know that you've seen it. You saw it in a very glamorous, glitzy environment, didn't you?
it really was actually. It was a lot more glamorous and glitzy than I imagined. It was fantastic. Yeah, I went to the London world premiere up in Shoreditch. Yeah, and I was hobnobbing with the Moff and all the cast, and it was much more than I thought, because I just assumed we'd be going into cinema, we might get to see them walk past on the red carpet that they had there, and that'd be it. But no, we got to properly meet them and chat with them. It was amazing, actually. I was pretty sure we were going to get to see the first two episodes. I'm sure when they first said about this event, when they first announced it, they said they were going to show 2 episodes. But we didn't. We got to see the first one on the big screen, and we kind of went out, and then they set up the little Q&A, and they talked a little bit about the show, which was really interesting. And then I thought we were going to go back in to watch the next episode, but that never happened. They just said, right, go and help yourself to a free class book. There's free drinks. Enjoy the rest of the night. And we were like, oh. So we just ended up getting drunk and grabbing a free class book. And it was great because the Moff was there and he was very drunk. And he was, I kid you not, he was just like Matt Smith in that clip at the start. It was so funny because, he wasn't absolutely trolleyed like he was falling down the wall, but he was definitely, he had a view. And he was chatting to fans, and they were sort of, I wouldn't say they were giving him stick, but they were certainly asking him questions that he couldn't really be bothered to answer. It was a bit like, he's like, guys, I'm on a night out, give me a break. And he's signing autograph stuff, but he was perfectly nice. The guy who I went with, who won the tickets, asked him something about what's happened to the Dalek transmats in the bottom of Coal Hill School, and he was just like, mate, do you know, I'm sure there's a really good answer out there for you, but I haven't got it for you tonight. He was just really just having none of it, and he smudged my autographs. I asked him to do another one, and he looked like he was going to kill me. But yeah, it was a great event. Chatted to Patrick Ness, the writer. What an absolutely lovely bloke he was. Spoke to old Faddy. I actually said to him, Faddy, is it Faddy or Fady? And I can't remember the answer because I was drunk. Because
you were too drunk?
Yeah. But I think it's Faddy. It's Faddy, yeah. Yeah, because I seem to remember he said that they pronounced it wrong on the stage or something. So, but it was very good. Yeah, got to see the first episode, and obviously we'll discuss that later. So it was a really good event. Yeah, very cool.
And then you were at another event, weren't you, on the Sunday?
I tell you, last week is just a blur, a good blur, but my goodness, was it a busy blur. Yeah, I went to Polarity Day on Sunday, which was the Doctor Appreciation Society organised it for John Pertwee because they were unveiling a blue plaque. That was in Wimbledon at the Wimbledon Theatre. That was, for a free event, was absolutely amazing. Excuse me, because you had Katie Manning there, Richard Franklin, John Levine, Terrance Dicks was there.
Terrance with his walking stick.
Yeah, Terence. Yeah, he was there. It was fantastic. We got to see the Claws of Axos. I was going to say on the big screen, but it actually was about the size of my television. It wasn't because they just sort of put a projector screen up on the stage because it was a theatre.
Right. Yeah.
So it wasn't that big, but it was still quite interesting to see. And they did like photo shoots and autographs and stuff. Yeah, it was a good day. I met our old mate John Levine as we were going in. He was just sat like in the front of the theatre. Mm-hmm. He was okay at that point. He seemed in quite a reasonable mood. But God, by the time I did autographs, he was I don't know what's going on with him because he's not been the jolly John Levine I know for last couple of times I met him, has he? He just was he was agitated by the end of the day. In fact, he left early. I don't know what was going on with John Levine, but it's a shame because when he's on top form, he's like the nicest guy ever. But when he's not in the mood, he's borderline rude to me, to be honest. I have to say, I wasn't too impressed with John. But Katie, lovely as ever. Absolutely love Katie Manning. She's always a delight to meet. Richard Franklin's an absolute gent as well, isn't he? He's cool, such a nice chap. Yeah, didn't really get to talk to Terence much, to be honest with you. He was around, but it was quite a busy sort of little. Bit when they were doing autographs and stuff. But yeah, really great event. I enjoyed it a lot. So,
did Colin stick around? Because I know Colin was there.
I'm glad you mentioned Colin because yes, he was there for about half the day. That he started it, so he came on and presented the awards to John's wife, and they did a Q&A with Colin afterwards, which went on for about an hour. Okay. And it's one of the best Q&As I've ever seen Colin do. I don't know if it's just because he was on his own, so he could because he just seems so relaxed. Like, normally he's with Sylvester or whatever, and they sort of, spark off each other. But with this one, he was just on his own, and he had a really croaky voice. Bless him, he didn't sound too well. He actually said at the start, "I really apologise that I can hardly speak." So well done for him for carrying on throughout the whole hour because he was really interesting. Oh, cool. Like the interviewer, Karen, I've seen her do a few before. She's really good because she's not afraid to. She's very knowledgeable about Doctor Who, so she knows the stuff. So the stuff she was asking him, she's very good at connecting with the person she's talking to. So a lot of the stuff she was saying to Colin, whatever he was throwing back at her, she was able to handle. And she spoke to him about Blake Seven, the episode he did, and he never talks. I've never heard him talk about Blake Seven, so that made my day. He was just saying how much he loves that episode. He's like, oh, it's the best character. I love doing it, and so I was absolutely loving that. But the funny thing was. He started banging on about female Doctor again, not getting much response from the audience, it has to be said. And he turned to Karen, the woman interviewing him, and said, female Doctor should have happened, right? And she's like, absolutely not. No, I don't want it. And he's like, what? He couldn't believe it. I think he just assumed because she was a woman, she'd be like, yeah. But she was like, no, I wouldn't want that. It totally changed the dynamic and stuff. And Colin was a bit, rah, rah, rah. But he was brilliant. He was on such good form that, apart from being ill, obviously, he was really, really interesting to listen to. He talked about the stage play he did with John when he took over in the Old Adventure and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was fantastic. Really, really good Q&A. Yeah, sounds and great. A great day. Yeah. Really great. It was a great event, mate. Yeah, Wimbledon Theatre. Yeah. Shame you couldn't be there. You were so nearly there.
I was nearly there.
Yeah, I was amazed it didn't sell out. Actually, there was still about 30 tickets left on the website on the day. I just can't believe it didn't sell out because it was, it was such a good thing. So, so many people there. Yeah. And it was free. Yeah. But there you go.
There we go. Yeah. So, you've had a much busier, much better week than I have.
Well, don't forget that the best of all three things that I did that week was, of course, we met up. Don't forget that.
Yes, we met up in London, didn't we? That was
before the class premiere.
Yes, and we had a good old nose around FP, didn't we?
Do you know my favourite moment of that day?
What's that?
Was when I snuck up behind you, did a bit of Anicia Nakido, and you jumped. I have never seen Gary jump out of his skin. Oh, I wasn't expecting to nearly kill him. I could see him looking down the road for me. I thought, but I was on the other side of the road, so I could see him looking, thinking, "Where is he? For goodness' sake!" Because I was a bit late, as I always am. So I could see him, and I thought, right, I'm going to cross over and sneak up behind him and just go, "Ah!" like that, which is what I did. And Gary literally nearly died, didn't you? You just jumped out of your skin.
I did. And you bugger.
I wasn't expecting to do. I thought you'd just be like, "Oh, hello." Yeah, so sorry about that, but it was a cool little meet-up.
It was, yeah.
You didn't buy anything in FB, did you?
No, do you know what? I just didn't see. I didn't see anything. Nothing jumped out at me at all. Nothing at all.
There's nothing. I mean, there is nothing, is there? I think I didn't buy anything Doctor Who, did I? I bought a Rivers of London comic, a Star Trek Titan. I think that was it, wasn't it? I didn't buy anything either.
No, I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, we walked into the Doctor Who section. We both said it's so depleted now that it's almost depressing, isn't it? There's just nothing new or exciting there to sort of grab attention. Good for our wallets, mind you, but
great for that. Yeah, I came very close to buying the War Doctor Pop Funko.
Oh yeah,
but like unfortunately, like you have with the Pop Funkos from time to time, the quality control's not amazing, is it? So yeah, the paint wasn't that great on. So
It was the only one you could find as well, wasn't it? Because someone had sort of shoved it in the wrong place, so I think they tried to hide it, maybe to go back for it later. And we just couldn't find another one, could we? So, because it's a shame, the quality on it wasn't great. So it was, good you didn't buy it just for the sake of it.
Yeah. So yeah, great on the odd wallet.
Yes.
So I had visions while I was waiting for you, incidentally, before you made me jump out of my skin.
Mm-hmm.
I had visions of us, coming out of a trolley full of, armfuls of stuff. But
yeah,
no, we were quite controlled and reserved.
That's it. And I didn't go. I stayed in London on the Thursday, but I didn't go back because I was tempted to go back into town, but I didn't because there was, like you said, there was nothing. So I ended up heading back and meeting up with our old friend Adam the Ultimate Whovian and having a very chilled out little afternoon with him. So yeah, it was quite good on the wallet for a change.
Yeah. Cool. Good times.
So a busy week, a good week.
Yeah.
Good week for us both, yeah.
Shall we do some news? Right, we're going to talk about Class after the news and the merch, aren't we? So we're going to spend a bit of time talking about Class episodes 1 and 2. And then we're going to move on to our regular review. Regular viewing will resume for the Crotons. But let's land the TARDIS, shall we? And let's do some news.
Yeah.
Rightio, first up, we spoke to you last week about the Power of the Daleks. We'll be getting a US cinema showing, which is very cool. And the Australians have followed suit. So Down Under, BBC Worldwide ANZ, to be precise, in association with Charmel Films, will be showing a limited run. So this is slightly different to the US one. I think the US one, the Phantom Events, I think they've got a few showings going on. This one's quite limited by the sound of it. On Saturday, the 12th of November, a week ahead of the launch on Duvda. You'll be able to go and see it on the big screen. And when we say the big screen, it's not like what you saw at Polarity Day, where it's like a little projector thing.
Yeah,
we're talking about a proper cinema. Yes. And this will, and the same with the US one. There's going to be some bonus stuff with interviews with the cast and all that stuff, which I assume will be shown after the Power of the Daleks itself. So if you want to, if you're Down Under, and I'm thinking Sammy, our good friend Sammy.
Yeah, I thought of Sammy straight away when I saw this.
Yes, yeah. I can't remember exactly where she is Down Under, but yes, if you just head over to sharmanfilms.com.au, you'll be able to see which cinemas will be showing the Power of Daleks and how you can get your ticket. I don't think it's too difficult. I think you just buy a ticket like you would any other ticket. Because it's a slightly limited run, you might want to jump on it if you're one of our Australian listeners. So Sharman, we'll put a link in the show notes to it, but it's not Sharman, Sharmil. Sharmil, so SHARMILL, sharmanfilms.com.au. And there you go. So that's good.
That
news.
looks good. Yeah, I love the promo picture for this. Well, the little screen grab, I should say, that they've used. I'm really excited to see this release, actually. So yeah, worth seeing on the big screen.
Indeedy.
Right, in other news, BBC America have just released a little short video, which is previewing this year's Doctor Who Christmas special, the return of Doctor Mysterio. And it's very, very similar to the one we got in the UK, except it has a bit of a introductory piece at the start of it from the Mothball and from Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
So they sort of chat a little bit about it. Stephen seems to have found some newfound love for superheroes somewhere. I don't know. He's suddenly in love with Clark Kent, it would seem, judging from what he's saying at the start of it. And Peter Capaldi is just saying it's going to be, you know, Christmas specials are always about being a bit lighter and a bit more fun and Christmassy before they go into the main little behind the scenes thing that we got here. Didn't really get anything new from this, did we? Apart from...
Not really.
No, apart from the Mothball going on about Clark Kent, but we kind of knew that already. It's done nothing for me. I don't think I'm going to get excited about this until very close to Christmas, because I just look at it and go, but I think once we start getting, I mean, you know, I don't feel Christmassy at all at the minute. It's the end of October, for goodness sake. But maybe once we're getting towards Christmas and the lights are up and the nights are drawing in and it's all cozy and the log fire's going, you know, maybe then I'll look at this trailer and think, oh, you know, looking forward to this because it's Christmas. But right now I'm just like,
yeah, it's a very strange thing that the Beeb have done this year, because to release this stuff so early, we haven't got Halloween out the way yet. Plus we've got Class on at the minute. It's definitely getting lost a little bit in other stuff, you know, with the Power of the Daleks as well. That's being shown around cinemas and it's out soon on DVD and all that stuff. It's definitely getting lost. And it's, you can kind of buy into their enthusiasm. So Peter Capaldi did say, you know, it's going to be one of these stories that you're going to want to watch again and again. You can't wait for it. So he seems very happy and excited about it. And the Moth is obviously quite up for it. But it's just, there's not enough there to get us going, I don't think, because it's a behind the scenes feature, which is interesting in a way. But we've only had like a handful of very small sort of 3-second clips. So it's quite difficult. I mean, devil's advocate here, you know, you would want that in a way because you don't want to reveal everything in the trailer.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I just think the timing has been a bit poor, especially when they released this on the same day as the Class trailer went out.
Yeah.
Or actually, it sort of played second fiddle to Class, really, didn't it, when it got announced? So, yeah, I mean, it might be a bit of a surprise. It might be a really cracking, good story. It might be pretty good, and we're like, oh, that's amazing. But it's just difficult to buy into it at the moment.
Yeah, it is. And I think just because last year's special just ramped up the cheese to 11, as far as I'm concerned, I really didn't like last year's special at all. And this looks set to be in that same sort of ridiculous tone. I think that's why I'm finding it hard to get excited about it. I just keep thinking it's going to be another chunk of that. I'm all for a bit of fun at Christmas, but trust me, you know, I expect it to be a bit lighter. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Wait till we get the tree up and the baubles hanging and the wine is flowing. Maybe it'll be, you know, good.
Yeah,
hopefully, I want it to be good. I hope so.
Yeah, I absolutely think that wine and beer are going to be necessary for that one.
Although I don't know about you, but it makes me worse when I'm watching a special. When I'm drunk, I tend to be even more critical. So I'm like stood there doing the old Matt Smith going, "What a rubbish! Stephen Moffat needs to go. He needs to go now." You know. So I don't know if I should. So maybe I should watch it sober. I don't know, or maybe just one glass. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. Right, that's news. We're going to leave the Daleks outside because we've only got one bit of merch.
Oh no, they'll be going mad.
And it is for
merch corner.
Shut up. Right, it's for Class instantly. So Series 1, and I'm glad that it's been called Series 1.
Oh yeah,
and not season.
You don't like season, do you? You don't like season.
I hate season. I cannot stand the word season because it's not a season of episodes, is it? It's a series of hence the name, hence the word. It's a series of episodes that come together to make a collection.
Exactly.
Or a series, whatever. It's not a season. I don't watch every single episode of something through the autumn. Or I don't watch every episode of something through summer because I'm not in the mood for a summer season. Anyway, I'm not reaching for the rant. I'm not reaching for it. Anyway, Class Series 1 on Blu-ray is up for pre-order.
Hooray, the BBC have remembered the format of Blu-ray.
They have indeed. So this is going out not till next year. I think it's January. Yeah, January the 2nd. So not too long to wait, actually.
No.
Because Christmas is nearly upon us. I think it's something ridiculous, like there's only 7 Fridays till Christmas.
I would have thought they'd have got this out before Christmas, wouldn't you, to get more sales? But hey.
What do we know?
What do we know?
But yes, you can pre-order it. It's $24.99 if you're in the UK. If you jump over to amazon.co.uk, just do a search for it. And yes, on the cover, it's very simple. I don't know if that's the final artwork, but it's just got the big Class logo. And then underneath it, there's a strap line that says, "From the universe of Doctor Who." And it's the Doctor Who logo.
You love that Class logo, don't you?
I love it.
You love it. I doubt that's the finished product. I wouldn't have thought. Surely not.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know, actually. Could be.
Normally, they put a little caveat on it to say final artwork not confirmed or something like that.
That's true. Yeah. It won't be. Surely that price will come down as well. I mean, that's probably the full whack price. So surely $24.99 for...
I think that will be the price.
It's got a bit of double, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because either that or it will come down to maybe 20 quid.
Yeah, I would have thought $19.99, something like that. When it first comes out, they're normally a bit cheaper, aren't they? Reduced.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll wait and see. Obviously, we'll talk about Class in a minute. Whether we'll be putting this on our, I was going to say Christmas list, but for our January box set list,
our January sale shopping.
Yeah,
whatever.
Picking this up, picking up the Doctor Who annual in the Christmas sale, a January sale. Yeah.
Yeah, picking up the annual for £3 from WH Smith when it was like 15 quid before. Whatever, yeah. So Class, if you're already salivating at the thought of putting Class on after it's gone off of our screens, there you go. You can order it now. I'm not sure about the DVD. It's just the Blu-ray at the moment, but
no, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I saw DVD as well on one of the sites. It's bound to. They're bound to do it on both.
Yeah.
I would have thought. Yeah.
Right, yeah, we're going to spend a bit of time now talking about the new spin-off programme from the universe of Doctor Who. It is Class.
Do you know the feeling of dread? Just beyond what you see, just beyond what you know. There's something out there waiting for you.
What have you seen? Was it a shadow?
What do you know about shadows?
We're in terrible danger.
They're opening the door!
What is going on in here? You're talking to a boy.
And it's time to do something.
What are we supposed to do about it? I'm not made of glass. Tougher than they think.
Would you believe me if I said I was from another planet?
God, yeah.
Great.
Whoever you are, I am what waits for you. And I am war itself.
I used to be the caretaker here.
You've heard of me, haven't you?
Yes, our first review of Class. We thought we would dedicate a bit of time to it because although I've been a bit negative over the past couple of months about it, and Adam's been not so, he's been kind of looking forward to it.
I've been on the fence.
Yeah, the splinters are now firmly removed from one's
posterior.
buttocks. And so, am I still on that side of the fence where I can't really get into it, or are you? I know that you're more into it than I am, but yes, it is an important event, I would say, across the Doctor Who world, because since the days of Torchwood, we've had nothing outside. If you think about other science fiction franchises, they go mad with, like, if you think about the Star Wars expanded universe, there's a new book out every week, there's a new comic out every week, there's all sorts going on, but Doctor Who is very contained. I would say the BBC keep a very tight grip on stuff. And although we do have Doctor Who books out, nowhere near as much as some other science fiction franchise and so on. So this is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that the world is being expanded a little bit and we're seeing a bit more of what goes on outside of the TARDIS.
And before we get the TARDIS, and before we get into our thoughts and stuff as well, just quickly talk about the reaction to this, because I think myself included, and you, when this was first announced, there was a major backlash and negativity. I think the quote that kept popping up was the spin-off nobody asked for, and all this sort of thing. It was absolutely pummeled when it was announced. I think people were a bit shocked. We've had all this time to sort of, try and make up in our heads what it's going to be like. I think, me personally, I was way off the mark up until recently, until I saw the trailer. I, in my head, thought it was going to be, because of where it's set in this school, I thought it was going to be much more Sarah Jane, much more light-hearted, than it actually has turned out to be. And once we got that trailer, and now having seen the first episodes, it's a lot more adult. It's aimed at that a much more adult audience than I'd, at first thought. So that threw me to start. As soon as we got that trailer, that completely threw me. And just coming back to the reaction from fans, and again, I'll put myself in this, I think the majority of feedback from fans has been surprisingly good. I think people have really quite shocked how much they liked it, because I think maybe it's a good thing going in with low expectations, because you come out of it thinking, wow, that was pretty good, actually. Like that. I mean, not everybody obviously, but I think a lot of people that were expecting to hate it, or like me were thinking, oh, this isn't going to be for me, were surprised by the first two episodes. So yeah, but obviously let's get into our thoughts, because up until this very moment I think I know, but I'm let's hear what you think of it. So episode 1, what was it called? For Tonight We Might Die, wasn't it?
We Might Die, yes.
So episode 1 first, what did you reckon?
So episode 1, it was okay. It was all right, I suppose. One thing I will say.
Was it what you expected?
It was and it wasn't. What I kind of expected it to. I'm exactly the same as you, and I think a lot of people were, that when this was first announced. I'm not sure if it was accidentally done or purposely done, but it was sort of revealed as a sort of a teeny program.
Yeah.
But over the last month or so, we have got more details about it, obviously. So we knew it was going to be a bit more adult themed and so on. So I expected it to be, I expected it to have some blood in it and all that stuff. What I didn't expect was the production quality to be so high.
Yeah.
Because it is right up there with the quality of the main Doctor Who show.
It's very good, considering it's an online only thing at the minute as well.
Yes,
it looks very good. Yeah,
it's really good. So, in terms of how it looks and stuff, you can tell that they haven't really skimped on. The brief didn't say, right, because it's going online, we can afford to, not use as good cameras and all that stuff. So it looks great. It looks very, very good.
It did, yeah.
In terms of how it stands to me as a program and a bunch of characters and stuff, I'm not I'm not really feeling the vibe. I feel like a kid that sat in another room at school eating his lunch by himself and everyone else is enjoying the Christmas party. But I don't know, I just feel, and I really tried to force all that stuff aside when I watched this first episode. I thought, don't worry about all that stuff, just go in open mind. But I still felt the same afterwards as I did before I watched it. And one thing that I thought absolutely ruined the first episode, which you'll probably disagree with me, a lot of people will, was the Capaldi cameo.
I know. I actually do agree with you. For me,
you do? Right?
Yes, I do. It's one of the things that because I've watched it a couple of times now, because I was worried that because I really enjoyed the first episode. I liked it a lot. I thought I was going to be like you, joining you in that classroom while everyone else was outside loving it. I actually said to the guy I went with, as we were walking towards the cinema, I got this sort of nervous feeling. I said, because I didn't feel this was going to be aimed at me, because it's, everyone in it very young, they're all good looking, you know what I mean? I just thought, this is for the cool kids. This isn't aimed at me, old school Doctor Who fan. Mm-hmm. And as we walked towards cinema, I said, I'm feeling like people are going to be looking at me thinking, what's this old geezer doing here? Who's this bold chap at the end of the queue? What's he doing with us cool kids, Mm-hmm. And I genuinely felt like that. I just, as we were getting there, I thought, this is not going to be for me. I don't know why I'm here. But I'm pleased to say, after watching it, I didn't feel like that. I actually did enjoy it. And as I said, it was a lot more adult than I thought. But I had to watch it again, because obviously I got very wrapped up within the evening. And, sometimes when you're in that environment, you get carried away and wrapped, yes. Carried along with the euphoria of thinking, oh, it's the best thing I've ever seen, because you're there. So I had to come home and rewatch it just to see, because I remember going to see Let's Kill Hitler premiere thinking, oh, that was a great episode, because there's all the cheering and you just get caught up in it, and then coming home and thinking, blimey, what a dreadful episode, So I had to reevaluate it and come back and watch it. Episode 1 I still really enjoyed. I like the way it built up. I will agree with you about Capaldi, though. It's the one thing that I felt when I first watched it that I still felt when I watched it again, was that A, he felt totally shoehorned in. B, I didn't like the way he was written at all. The guy I went with said he was written like Ten's Doctor, and having rewatched it, I totally see what he means.
Right.
I didn't really like his performance, although I didn't think he was bad. I think maybe it's down to the writing. And I didn't like the resolution. I just hated the way the Doctor just came in, waved the Sonic around, turned up the lights, and the villain, which I thought was quite a good villain, the Shadowkin, was deleted. I thought it just totally didn't need him, totally took away any sort of excitement that had been built up. So yeah, I will agree with you. I did not like Capaldi in it. I was like initially pleased to see the Doctor, because we haven't seen him for a while now. So I was like, yay, it's the Doctor.
Yeah.
But I felt he was just shoehorned into the episode. I didn't like it at all. Really didn't like the way he was written.
Yeah, for me, his performance was great. I really liked seeing him on screen again. I really enjoyed seeing him, back on screen. But I just felt like this is what I think. I agree with Patrick Ness on this, because I think a lot of people were quizzing him a couple of weeks ago about, are there going to be more cameos? And he basically said cameos are like a male organ, not an organ, a male thing, and he's not a fan of them, and I can totally see why. And they have to be a bit careful with this, because they are two very, very different programs.
Very, yeah.
And it's even a step. I would say it's a step further than what Torchwood brought in terms of adult content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it just didn't fit to me. Although they're set in the same universe, and that's all great, just the Doctor being in that environment felt completely out of place to me. It was like being at a heavy metal concert and seeing a 10-year-old in the mosh pit going mad. That's what it felt like. It's like, why? It just didn't gel to me at all. And like you say, it was the way that he was written. Like I said, I liked his performance. Like he acts it, absolutely brilliantly, like he normally does. But the way in which he just turned up, like you say, insulted them all, waved his Sonic, and then buggered off.
Yeah,
it just doesn't feel like the Doctor. I mean, it's weird, because it feels like the Doctor that we reviewed in Kill the Moon. That kind of very unemotionally emotionally disconnected from them, and quite brash and quite harsh. But then the Doctor that we've seen all through Series 9, this is what we've said. The BBC cannot write him consistently.
Yeah.
He's up and it's all over the place. But that ruined it for me, that the last bit, because we didn't need him in it.
I don't think we needed him in it. I mean, I totally understand why they thought they needed him in it.
Yeah.
They thought they needed him in to bring the audience with it. But as it turns out, they didn't, because I think the characters that have been written, yes, they may be a bit cliche, but I think they're strong enough to carry the series on its own. It didn't need the Doctor at all. And I just kept thinking about what we were talking about on the last podcast with the Doctor, the way he was written, because I was hoping it'd make me looking forward to him more in the special, seeing him again. I thought, it'd be like a little bit of excitement to see the Doctor again. I'll be looking forward to Series 10, seeing more of him. I actually wasn't. I was just like, he's just back to this bumbling, wisecracking Doctor that I don't like. I like the Series 8 strong Doctor from Mummy and the Orient Express, the suave Doctor. I don't like this sort of hunched over. I almost feel like he's turning into Peter Cushing's Doctor, and I just didn't like him in it. I really didn't, and I felt sort of I just couldn't wait for him to go. I was just like, leave him to it. We don't need you. Go and do your own thing. But I do get what you're saying about the tone, because I think they've almost tried to be a little bit too adult with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm showing my age, because I think a lot of the stuff that I was saying this to my mum actually yesterday, because she's a teacher. We're talking about this, about does it fit into the Doctor universe? Is it, like you said, I think there is quite a big gap between the two, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
I think it is quite out of its own. I think it's going to, we'll get on to episode 2 in just a minute, and I think we're definitely going down that route. I think maybe they've just gone just a touch too far, but I get the feeling a lot of people out there, younger people, will disagree with me, because they seem to lap all that stuff up these days. So maybe that's just me, but I do know what you mean about that. Yeah.
But episode 1, I mean, overall, I thought it was a decent enough kind of setup, if you like, introducing us, quite lightly to the characters. There wasn't a huge amount of backstory for each of them. It was just, they're in this situation. And I assume that as we go through this first series, we're going to get an insight into each one of them, because episode 2 was mainly about Ram.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm assuming, based off of that as we go through some of the other episodes will focus more on the other ones, because I think when I watched the Next Time trailer at the end of this one, there was a scene where what's her name? Her mum's like really hard on her. She has to sneak out, and she gets scared of her mum.
Vivian's her real name. Character is Tanya.
Tanya, sorry, that's it. Yeah, there was a bit where she sees her dad, I think, but he died of a heart attack. So I think, we might be venturing into her, a bit about her and so on. So I quite like that. I quite like that it's a good sort of character story where we've seen, it's not all about space and aliens and, because we thought that based on some of the images, it was going to be very much about, pew, 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 like ray guns and stuff like that. So I like I like that it's quite human in that aspect. It's very character driven, which is cool. But yeah, what do you reckon to the story?
What, episode 2? I seem to be
episode
in the minority.
1. Talking about episode 1 still.
Oh, episode 1.
The story, like setting up the characters quite lightly. We didn't get too much backstory, and then after the first half, it was quite action packed with the Shadow King and all those guys. And
I thought it was. I thought it was built well, actually, because I thought it introduces, like you said, to the character. You got the characters very, very quickly. They were written perhaps a little bit cliche, but you got to know them almost instantly, which I kind of liked, because it needed that. And I thought the episode built quite well in terms of the action. I think that's why I was disappointed how easily they were killed. But, well, actually they weren't, were they? They were kind of forced back into the... Because we're clearly they're going to come back.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I did like, because I was expecting it to just be about, teachers and school kids and all that. What I did like was that it turned out quite early on that 2 of them are actually aliens that the Doctor saved and brought to the Earth to get away from these guys. Now, I wasn't expecting that. That I instantly liked, because, that gave the series another edge. And I really quite liked Miss Quill, because she's very deadpan. I liked all the sort of banter between her and the Doctor. It was about I thought there was some good chemistry there between those two, even though it was pretty short. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I liked the element. In In terms of the characters themselves, did you sort of? I quite warmed to Miss Quill in terms of I thought she was quite fun. The Prince guy seems a bit. I'm not sure about him yet. But was there Miss Quill? Yeah,
Miss Quill's the teacher. What's his name? His name is
Charlie, isn't
Charlie,
it? Yeah. And then you've got Faddy as Ram and April. Was there anyone you sort of like? Because a lot of people seem to warm towards April because she's this quite pretty but doesn't know it, and she's got all these issues going on. So a lot of the younger audience seem to warm towards her. But was there anybody that you particularly liked? Did you like Miss Quill?
Not particularly.
Really? Oh, I thought she was quite funny, especially in episode 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that I really liked any of them.
No. Okay. Because I grew to quite like them quite quickly. I thought, I like this little group. But you didn't warm to them?
No, not really. I thought that Miss Quill, I thought she was okay. She's definitely better in episode 2.
Yeah, I loved all the stuff with the robot. I thought that was quite funny.
And I quite like how her character's written as a bit of a loose cannon, and she's not afraid to get into a tear up, at the drop of a hat, even in front of students and stuff.
Yeah.
So, she's quite cool in that respect. But yeah, I mean, the rest of them, like I said before this went out, they seem too generic to me.
They are a little bit, but like you said, I think each episode's going to focus more on one, so we might get to know them. I'm really hoping by the end of the series we'll have got a lot more backstory for them. So I think hopefully they'll pad them out a bit. Yeah.
And the Shadowkin, I thought they were pretty good. Quite a good first round the block monster, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And quite an interesting setup as well, although very predictable. Is the fact that April now shares a heart with the Shadowkin King. So you can tell that the series 1 finale or the series 1 mid finale, whatever it's going to be, will be them coming back, and she's, there's going to be something going on with that.
Definitely, yeah. You can see that they're working that in. I was wondering if there's some sort of connection there because she loses her heart. Ram loses his leg. I'm still not sure how he was stood up at the end of the scene where he's throwing the chair at the... I'm thinking, how's he standing up? So yeah, I'm wondering, is someone going to lose an arm next week, or is this going to be somebody going to come in the last episode made up of all these different parts? I don't quite know what's going on there, especially a Ram's leg. What's that about?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite interesting. Yeah, I mean, in series 2, when Tanya's trying to make him feel a lot better about, because he's very down in the dumps, isn't he? And she says to him that, it's not all bad. You managed to save April and you did it all on one leg. So I think they got around it by saying that he was maybe hopping or just, up on one leg, whatever.
I wasn't convinced about that, but yeah okay.
But episode 1, for me, we're not going to give this like proper scores and stuff, are we? But I would say that if we had to, I'd probably give it a 5.
Okay,
a 4 or a 5 maybe, yeah, something like that.
I have actually written a score.
Oh, you have? All right.
I have, yeah. I didn't know if we would or not, but yeah, I liked it more. I quite enjoyed it, apart from Capaldi. I mean, he wasn't like you said, by no means bad in it, but it didn't need him. So I'll give it a 7.5.
Okay.
I thought it was quite decent as an introductory episode. Thought it did what it needed to do, really, and it kept me entertained. I must just mention the theme tune because that took me by surprise because I was expecting a sort of Torchwood instrumental dark and we got this sort of a proper song that I'd expect to see in a like American drama, like a kids teenage show. So I was a bit taken aback by that at first. I think it's growing on me, but it did jar with me the first time it started playing. I was like, what's this? Because it reminds me of like One Tree Hill or something like that. You know what I mean? That's all. Yeah, but it's. I'm not sure. What do you reckon to the theme?
It's okay. It's pretty good.
Do you like it?
It's all right. Yeah,
it's in your head.
I was expecting a Dawson's Creek. Thing, but yeah, no, it's quite funky actually. It's all right. You can tell it sets the tone for the hip kids. Of today.
It just took me by surprise. It was not what I was expecting, but that's a good thing actually. I think. Yeah. So, what about the second ep then? Coach with the dragon tattoo. People seem to like this more, but I'm in the minority. I didn't like it as much. I still thought it was quite good. I just found it a bit. I thought it built really, really well, and then had a really weak resolution. And I was just like, when they just basically shooed the dragon away, I was like, is that it? After all that build up and all that action, and so I wasn't as keen on this one. What about you?
Yeah, I found this one actually worse than episode 1.
Oh, really? Because a lot of people seem to prefer this one. I think it's just because it's like the first time they're sort of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't think it was all that.
Yeah. The only up for me was seeing a bit more sort of humour from Miss Quill. That was quite good. She was quite good in it. I thought that some of the character progression with Ram was quite good.
Yeah, with his dad.
Yes, and trying to get his leg working and stuff, because he's obviously very bad at football now.
And I like the fact he told his dad, because I just thought he's going to keep this. It would just be something that's not mentioned. It'll always be covered up. But I like the fact that he just said to his dad, "Look, this is it. This is what's happened." And this, I mean, I was thinking his dad's kind of like, seriously, really, what's going on? But then again, if you look at his leg with all these components moving about it, you've got really no choice but to believe it, I think.
Yeah, that's one thing that I wasn't. Well, essentially for me, I found this episode quite boring. If I'm honest, I found it quite repetitive because
it was repetitive.
Essentially, the episode boiled down to Ram constantly going back to Coach Dawson and saying, "I can do better," and the coach saying, "No, you can't go away." So that's the essence of this episode, and that happens like 4 times, I think.
Yeah,
throughout the episode, and then at the end. I mean, it's quite. I just found it really boring because we knew that his tattoo was involved.
Yeah,
we were just waiting at the end to find out exactly how, and then it was such a letdown at the end where the other dragon came through, and I thought we were going to have a big tear up between 2 dragons, or that Coach Dawson was going to morph into a big dragon-like thing, and it was going to be but no, it was just Ram saying, just deal with it. I've had to deal with it, so you deal with it. And then the dragon talks back in bloody English.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
And you think, oh, come on, what a cop-out.
Yeah.
And then he just gets shooed. Yeah, like you said, he just gets shooed back in, and that's it. So I found this just very boring to watch, this one.
I wasn't so involved in it. Yeah, go on, sorry.
And the thing at the end, I couldn't buy into the dad's reaction, I'm sorry. So basically, he's gone through and told his dad about his girlfriend getting murdered by a shadow thing from another dimension, and now he's seen like 2 20-foot dragons skinning people alive and all that stuff. And then he shows his dad his new robotic alien appendage, and then his dad's just sitting there like, yeah. So a rift in space and time. Yeah. Yeah. I saw one of those last week, son.
Yeah,
I walked straight past it. Yeah. And then that's it. And I think, come on, I mean, if my son had said to me, I'd be like, I don't know, I thought I'd be bouncing off the walls going mad, like, what's going, so I couldn't buy into that reaction where his dad's just, oh, okay. All right, son, you're dealing with that, are you? Okay.
I agree with you. Yeah, it was a bit strange. I thought the episode started quite well. Much darker in tone to episode 1. But I just felt it totally lost its way, and like you said, it did get very repetitive. I felt it was going down the Torchwood route of where, I think when Torchwood started, they were trying so hard to be adult, so we were throwing in bad language, nudity, lots of blood, and I thought, you should have learned that sometimes it's better not. It's what you don't see that's actually more frightening. So I felt they were trying a little bit too hard with the blood and guts and gore.
They look good. The effects look good.
They did look good. Yeah. Yes, they did look good. But it's just, it wasn't for me. I know that there's a lot of people out there that love all that stuff. But yeah, it was a bit too much for me, especially when poor old Mr. Armitage got it.
Yeah.
Because I was quite. I will say, although I found it shocking, I was like, wow, at least they've managed to shock me, because they've just killed off a character, a fairly major character. He's like been in Doctor Who, and so I was like, well, kudos for them for actually going through and killing it.
Yeah, I was
killing him. Sorry, I mean.
Yeah, one of the things that I had in my head after I watched that is, I just had the Moff and Patrick Ness in a room, and the Moff saying, "You can't kill anyone off."
Yeah.
And Patrick Ness going, well, I can. And the Moff's gone, but look what I did with Clara. And that works out brilliantly. And Patrick Ness going, yeah, I think I've got this one, mate. Just leave this to me. I think, my view is very different to your views on not killing people off. But yeah, I'm glad in a way that they took that step to do it.
Yes.
Because in Doctor Who, ever since Adric, pretty much, they've just not had the balls, to have somebody killed off. As sad as it is, sometimes it's necessary. And I think that that's one thing that's very cool about this, is that they're not afraid to take not one of the main characters, but, a character that's been in Doctor Who a few times as well, and kill him off quite horrifically as well.
It was pretty horrific, yeah. Because And do you know what's weird is, do you remember when we met up and I said to you, oh, I've just seen an actor has walked past me and I didn't know. I recognised him, couldn't think who he was, said sort of chubby guy, definitely seen him in something, but I can't remember. So I couldn't call after him because I couldn't remember his name. It was him.
Yeah, because I remember you said he's been in Who.
Yeah.
You said he's been
I'm pretty sure he was in Doctor Who, but I couldn't remember his name, so I just let him walk past. Yeah, it's him. What is his name? I still don't know. I couldn't have shouted Mr. Armitage, but
Mr. Armitage.
Yeah, it was him. So that was really weird when he popped up on screen. I was always like, oh, I needed you next to me to go, oh, that's him. That's the man. That's the guy. But yeah, it was great. They just, like you said, they took that risk. Part of me sat there thinking, because we're so used to people coming back, I was like, no, surely they're not actually, he's going to pop back up at the end or something. He'll come back through the portal but no, you saw the body flesh being dragged off and that is it. He's gone. So I like that because it means, no one's safe. That this is not Stephen Moffat. Hopefully anyway, they're not going to be coming back at the end of the series and all that sort of nonsense. So that again was a positive, I thought.
Yeah. Nigel Betts is the actor's name.
That's it. If I ever see him in Soho again, I'll be like, oh, Nigel,
don't look round. So yeah, episode 2, it's gone backwards a little bit for me from episode 1. Now I think, my overall feeling on Class is I think that series 2 is going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that now here's my other thing as well. I think this has got 2 series in it. I think overall.
I think I know why you're saying that because I'm looking at my notes and I think I know where you're coming from. Go on.
Yeah, I think that overall this is only ever going to be 2 lots of a 2 series thing.
Are you saying that because it's of the setting? Because one thing I'm in my notes I can't quite get my head around is because they've set it in this school, it's very contained. So every week an alien's or something's going to invade a school, but that, you can only do that so many times before you're like, yep, another alien coming this week to the school. Do you know what I mean? Because they've set it at the school, where I'm wondering how far they can go with it. Do you know what I mean? Because like with Torchwood, they were based at the Torchwood hub, but it wasn't set there, so they could go anywhere and anything could happen. This one, it seems, every week something different's coming through the portal to invade the school. So, you know what I mean? How long before that gets boring, or where are they going to? I'm just intrigued to see how they're going to carry that on for longer than, like you said, 2 series, because they're going to have to do something. You can't just have the school being invaded every week. That'll just get so boring.
Yeah, and also the actors already look 5 or 6 years older than what they should be.
Oh,
in sixth form college. Do you know what I mean? So another year later, they're already going to be looking like in their mid-20s at least, because they're pushing that now.
Didn't somebody remark about that? Didn't one of the characters say in it something about her age, and she was like, "Don't mention it" or something? So I wasn't sure what that was about. But yeah, they're already starting to look a bit too old to be there. Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and also because this is maybe this hasn't got anything to do with it, I'm not sure, but I think it's going to be very difficult to somehow measure how successful this is, because it's not on digital TV of any. It's only online. So that's quite difficult because, you can measure like how many people have clicked play and stuff like that, but you haven't got as much data as you have like, a normal TV program. So I think it's going to be a bit more difficult to measure how well it's doing, maybe like the DVD and Blu-ray sales and so on. But I've just got this feeling, I don't know why, I've just got this feeling that it's only ever going to go for 2 series.
I think you're right. You definitely got a point about the age thing there, and they must have thought about that when they come up with the concept. So unless they bring in, like a new set of characters,
the new
for
recruits,
Series 3,
it's gonna be like Police Academy in space.
Yeah. So yeah, I see what you mean with that. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm intrigued to watch next week. So that's one thing we'll say about it. It definitely left me wanting more. Even after episode 2, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not as good, but I'm looking forward to episode 3 to see, because that looked quite good from the trailer, I thought, with these vines coming out or whatever was going on there. So it left me wanting more, which is a good thing. I didn't think it was perfect by any means, but it definitely was enough to draw me in. What about you? Because as I said, I know you're not so keen on it. You still intrigued to see the next one, or are you literally just going to be watching it because we've got to review it, or are going to review it?
No, I am quite intrigued. I mean, it looks very much sort of Invasion of the Body Snatchers vibe going on with this one. To be honest with you, I'm mostly intrigued because I want to find out a bit more about each character, which is one of the plus points about episode 2, was what we got to see a bit more about Ram and what is going on with him at the moment. So as a program and, as a concept, I'm not really too fussed about, I'm not dying to tune in, for that, but I am interested, should I say.
Yeah. See, I'm quite excited. I wonder if it's because we haven't got Doctor Who on and it's filling a gap for me, because I am quite excited to have something to watch next week, I have to be honest. And the main thing that's pulling me in is the end of episode 1. We got a really reminded me of something from an old 70s sci-fi, which I really loved. Was we got that strange shot of Charlie's face in like a cube, and then all these stars around him. It's slowly because I was like, so we're in another world here, or we're in the cabinet, or so. So I was really intrigued with what's going on there. I'm assuming that's going to roll out as the weeks go on. So that pulled me in, because I was thinking, okay, I'm liking this, another world in a cabinet or whatever. Yeah, I'd like to know more about that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. I hope it keeps up at least this standard, because if it does, I will think it's a fairly decent. It's still not amazing. It's not something I'm biting at the nail to watch, but it's definitely of a good standard, certainly better than I was expecting. So
right,
yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to next week's. Yeah.
Okay. And what would you give episode 2 then?
I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
Oh, okay, I'd give it a 4 actually.
Yeah. So you were 4 and 5, weren't you? Sorry, 5 and 4. Yeah.
So episode 3, Night Visiting, that is out online on the 29th. So Sunday. Sunday.
And is it, how many episodes are they doing? 8?
8 altogether, yeah.
Right, okay. So that's not, it's going to fly by, isn't it?
Not bad.
Yeah. So yeah, overall,
Overall, you're liking it, mate, which is cool. Overall.
Well, so far, yeah.
Overall, I don't mind it.
I've sort of moved forward. I've got off the fence.
You have, yeah.
And I'm kind of strolling with the cool kids. And you're kind of just sat on the fence now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nibbling
now
at my
got
sandwich.
Off and warmed it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Nibbling at my sandwich, watching all you guys play football. Wishing I was that good. Yeah. So, yes, we will continue to do these reviews for class. Mm-hmm. I think it's cool. And, we're not going to do the whole send us your thoughts and all that stuff, because we just got stuff. It's a busy show already.
Yeah, and also we kind of we get the vibe, doesn't it? Look, you've only got to look on Twitter to get a rough gauge of what people thought of it. So yeah, we know what you're thinking.
However, if you want to send us your thoughts, then please do so.
Yeah,
still interested to see what you thought. Right, shall we crack on with our classic review of Doctor Who?
That's what we're here for. Let's do it.
So get your soup and salad ready, mate. What is it this week?
Get those croutons out. Right, it's it's the second Doctor story. It is, of course, the Crotons.
This is a warning. This is a warning.
What is happening here? Where has that girl gone?
The Crotons. They've sent her to join the Crotons.
This is a warning.
We only know what the Crotons tell us. We don't think. We obey.
Why do we take their orders?
We don't even know if they exist.
Hello?
No one defies the Crotons.
Anybody there?
The gods are conditioned to obey.
Complete obedience is the Crotons' first command, and if we fail to obey...
Hell destroy you, I see.
Crotons cannot die.
Press the button!
All right,
there's no need to shout. Now go away and don't fuss me. Now come back, what's this? It's all right, I know.
We've been slaves for 1,000 years.
Destroy the TARDIS machine.
Do you think you can free us in one day?
Do not move.
Oh, my giddy aunt.
Smash them!
Doctor, what about Jamie?
Jamie?
This is not a hybrid. It is a primitive. Then the power will kill it.
Wowzers.
Jumping gobstoppers. What a... I love that line. Wow, I forgot there's so much shouting in this, isn't there?
There's loads.
And that booming voice, my goodness me.
Rightio then, the Crotons. Released back in 1969. Released in December, actually. December, around Christmas, 1968.
Oh.
It's a 4-parter and went on until sort of mid-Jan, 1969.
Yeah, they didn't do Christmas specials back then, did they?
No, they just put them on.
You might get Hartnell coming up to you with a glass of sherry at some point. I can't remember. There is an episode where he does that, isn't there?
There is.
I think. I know, yeah.
So Patrick Troughton as the Doctor. Written by Robert Holmes, his first story, in fact, for Doctor Who, overseen by Terence Dicks. And wow, you can see why he's got a walking stick now, can't you? Because he was sort of in full swing here back in 1969.
Definitely.
And directed by David Maloney. Story is relatively simple. There's a planet which has got these humanoid people on it called the Gons. And they've been enslaved by the Crotons, which they are seemingly okay with, although a couple of them do start to revolt. The Doctor and Jamie and Zoe turn up. They're not having any of it. They're going to try and sort it out. A few captures and escapes later, and they've disintegrated those Crotons into slush. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's it.
First time I've seen this one for our review.
Yeah.
And normally I'm all over the Troughton ones. I love Troughton as a Doctor, and I think he's great in this one. Story-wise, though, especially for Robert Holmes, I thought this one was a bit on the boring side. What do you reckon?
I think I quite enjoy it. It's not up there with the best, although I think, like you said, I think Troughton's fantastic in it. One of my favourite bits in the whole episode is in the clip you just played, where he's like, show me how to do this. No, it's all right, I've got it. Come back, let me, or doing all that. Wonderful little scene. So I do think I like the actual story itself. I like the storyline that Robert Holmes has come up with, but I feel it's so close to being a great Troughton story, but it doesn't quite get there. I think the story's good. It doesn't quite translate onto screen as well, because it's a nice simple story and there's enough going on, but somehow it just doesn't reach the greatness of some of the Troughton episodes for whatever reason. And it follows the invasion, which is a classic Troughton. So I don't know. I do enjoy it though. I do like this one, but it's just not hitting the top of the Troughton era. It's not got it. Something's missing.
Yeah.
It is a little bit boring at times. Yeah,
that's what I feel about it. It's on the, I wouldn't say it's on the cusp of being great. It's got a bit of work to do, in my opinion. It's almost there.
It's almost there.
Yeah, it's almost there. And it's fortunately, Troughton is so great in it.
He's superb in it.
Yeah. So when you see, his performance at any time that he's on the screen, it's just fantastic to watch. And it also smacks of, if you've ever had a conversation with anybody that knows about classic Doctor Who, but hasn't really seen too much of it, and their only sort of memories of it are things like rubbish props and crappy, this is one story which sort of really shouts budget, hardly any money to do any props or sets or anything.
Most of it's black drapes, isn't it? I was thinking, because I had forgotten, because I haven't watched it for a long time. I was like, actually, there's hardly any set here. It's just a few screens and a black backdrop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and some of the opening scene, it's basically like a circular little door thing that a guy's putting his hand in to get something out. And you can tell it's two people underneath either side, but one of them just doesn't do it. So it's like cardboard moving away. And then the other side waits a few seconds until his arm knocks it. It's like, oh, right, I've obviously not opened it far enough. And then
you can actually see one of them at some point. You can actually see one of the guys behind the door. I forget which scene, just opening it.
Yeah. So this was Doctor Who earning its money, basically.
Definitely.
You can tell a mile off. There's just not enough money to do half of what they wanted to do. So like you said, the sets are really basic. The props are really bad. The Crotons themselves, although they look, quite good for the time, you can tell that it's, The
Crotons look good from the waist up. I think they're quite an iconic design for back then. I love the look of them, but only from the waist up. As soon as you see, thankfully, we only get a couple of shots where we see them they're sort of wobbling along, and it's almost as if they didn't finish the costume, as if they thought, we won't show, we'll only ever see the top half, don't worry about the bottom, because we only see a couple of shots of it, don't we? And it's just basically a rubber skirt on the bottom of them. But I quite like the design of them. I think they look sort of very 50s, 60s Doctor Who monster, but I quite like that. To counterbalance the cheapness of the sets, we do get some nice location work. I love the start of episode 1 where the Doctor and Jamie and Zoe step out of the TARDIS and he's got his umbrella. They're in there. I know it's a quarry.
Oh, good old quarry.
It's a good old quarry, but there's something about seeing like the early Doctors in black and white on location that I just love. I think it's because they didn't go to location much back then, did they? So I just love seeing the TARDIS land on a real location in black and white Who. But I know what you mean about the Crotons. They are interesting, especially when their heads are spinning. When they're going mad. And the heads are spinning. I think they tried.
They absolutely did. And one thing that I thought a couple of times seeing them on screen is the prop guys and the production guys just tipping out a huge box of stuff like they do on back in the day on Blue Peter and say, make it out of this. So it's like a bit of old tumble dryer hose. There's some brackets and there's some bits of metal and cardboard and foil, and they're like, right, we need a decent monster, a decent robot. So here's your stuff. You got an hour. Go and buy some silver spray paint if you need.
What's the head look like? It's like a lampshade,
or like an upside down
box or something.
Metal, and the thing that's sort of drooping out the front is like a washing tumble dryer hose that's been painted black, and
I can't look at it in the same way now.
And the other thing on the other side is like a big sort of canister with a half of a washing up bottle sprayed on glued onto the end. But you know what? That's one of the things that makes some of the classic Who just amazing to watch.
Yeah, because you've got to remember there's somebody in that thing, and I bet they couldn't see a thing.
Precisely,
I can just imagine they couldn't see anything they were doing in that thing. Yeah.
I mean, in some respects, because they had to physically build this stuff and physically make it and get it ready for how it's going to look on screen. In some respects, it can look better than some of the new sort of CGI stuff that we see in some of modern Doctor Who, where it's so badly done with no budget. Especially characters. When we see CG characters, especially, they can be so, non-lifelike, and the texture looks really bad, and just the way it's been done looks pretty bad. But at least in classic Who, it's actually a physical thing on set that the actors can properly sort of interact with and do their thing.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Yeah,
but they look ridiculous, but they have a certain charm and they fit in the story. And what helps, I think what makes a good classic story, even when there's no money, and it's very cheaply done, what can just completely remove all that out of your head is if the actors buy into it fully.
Which I think they do.
I think they do in this one. I really think they do, because there's a lot of intense emotion going on in some scenes, a lot of shouting, and they're really into it. And not just the main cast, but like the supporting cast. They're very much into it. And I think that can diffuse all of that stuff about, oh look, bloody washing
Tom
up
Dryers
bottle
walked
there.
in.
Yeah,
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They are into it, and it does. It makes you suspend your belief a bit more, I think, especially when Troughton and Zoe are being like tortured and that. That scene, if they hadn't been buying into it as much as they are, would just be laughable, wouldn't it? With this spinning washing up bowl coming down towards them, you just laugh normally, but because they're so taking it so seriously, I think you as the audience do. Just quickly going back to the Crotons for a second, one thing where I think was a missed opportunity is they have this thing about, we don't see the Crotons for a while. They get talked about, they've come down, they've taken over this planet, and they're kind of kept in the dark for quite a while. So you're expecting a big reveal, and I think it would have been so much better if they had a sort of, because they kind of just blunder onto screen at one point, and that's it. Like, oh, there's the Croton, but they could have made more of that. I think there could have been a big reveal of what these things looked like. Even, I'm sure they didn't look that bad back then. So, do you know what I mean? It would have been quite good if they'd have had a proper, camera maybe from the floor looking up, reveal of these things coming towards you or something. It could have made them much more menacing. But instead, when they do finally get revealed, they kind of just plod onto the screen with this tube attached to their chest, and it's a bit of a shame, actually. I think they could have been made, if they'd have been shot better, they could have been made to look a bit more frightening, but they're kind of just shown to be wobbling onto the set. There's almost as if they build up to that, though, because they sort of show the odd claw, and you think, oh, what's this thing then? And then they just show you them fully, and it's like, oh. So, a bit of a missed opportunity there. I think they could have made him a bit more frightening with the direction.
No, I read you. I think back to the Hartnell story, the second one. No, not the second one. What was it? The Daleks.
Oh, the Daleks, yeah.
That they were shot really well. Most of the when we get to the reveal and we see the Daleks, most of them are shot from like lower down upwards. And it makes them seem
towering over you.
Yeah, a lot taller and a lot more menacing stuff. So yeah, they could have done actually. They could have shot it in a way.
Shot a lot better. Yeah.
But we're not privy to.
Oh, mind you, I was going to say, I can hear people screaming at you saying, "Do you know what sort of cameras they had back then?" I mean, fair play. Actually, they were probably using great big bulky BBC cameras. Perhaps they couldn't get the shots they wanted, but I do feel they could have had more of a reveal. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I read you. Right. A little bit of story then. So I quite liked the concept of these Gonds being enslaved by the Crotons and just accepting it, because it's all too easy just to have a race of people being enslaved, and they're constantly trying to escape, and they're constantly trying to battle back, but they seem, because they offer up a sacrifice, don't they, essentially? Well, they don't know it, but they offer up somebody who the Crotons choose somebody, don't they? They choose somebody who has what I'm guessing, quite a high IQ.
Like the intelligence test. Yeah.
And then they get offered up, as what do they call it? They get offered up as it's not a sacrifice at all, but the Gonds, they kind of, in the back of their minds, they know it is, because these people that get offered up, they never see them again, do they?
No, that's right. Yeah.
And I think they get offered up as companions, weirdly enough, to the Crotons. So it's these people they go through these tests, don't they? And if they score really highly and they've got quite high IQs, they then get offered up as companions, but then very suspiciously they're never seen of again. So it's like
I quite like that idea, because it's almost like they're thinking, the most intelligent of us are going, and but basically they don't know it, but they're actually trying to get rid of the most intelligent. Is that why? Because I was a little bit confused by that to begin with. They sort of want to, they want to basically just take over the planet, so get rid of all the intelligent people, and evaporate them without the others knowing. So they go into this spaceship or whatever, and are never seen again, which they think they're obviously going on to a better life. Probably think, we're finally going to get to meet the Crotons.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I quite like that aspect of the story. It's quite sinister. It's quite
dark.
Because with the exception of one of the characters who we see very early on, who's very not happy about it. The rest of them, they just like, this is just what we do. It's just the way it is, kind of thing. and it all sort of kicks off from that first scene, really, doesn't it? Because one of the characters who gets offered up quite soon, what's her name? What's her name?
Beginning with V, is it?
Varna, I think. She gets offered up, and then the guy, I think his name's Thara.
Yeah, because I was getting very confused with the names in this, I have to say. Yeah. I've written in my notes, guy with big sideburns.
That's it, yeah, Tara. He goes mad, doesn't he? He's like, no. You know, so he's like the spark, I think. He's like the one that kicks it all off, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's the son, isn't he, of the Gond people. He's the main guy. What's his name? Forgotten his name.
Well, that's why I said I got really confused with all of the names in this, which is not good because we're bad with names anyway. But you're talking about the guy that's got he seems to be the only one that's got a different outfit. He's got like this very leather.
Yeah.
He seems to have got a special jacket. And all the others are kind of in these boring old drab.
That's it.
Beige suits.
He's got like blonde curly-ish hair, sort of.
Yeah. I don't know what his name.
Celeris, yeah.
Celeris,
yeah. So his son, Thara, he's having none of it. He's got half a clue, because I think he's got a bit of a soft spot for Varna.
Yeah,
by the looks of it. I don't know if they're in a relationship or not. It's never explained, but he's obviously got a soft spot for her. He's having none of it, and that's what starts it all. And then the Doctor turns up shortly after, and then it's pretty much from that point on. So when Varna, she doesn't actually die, does she?
No,
they managed to save her.
The Doctor saves her just in time. Yeah, from this gas.
That's it. Yeah, from the gas. It's from that moment on when she goes through the doors, though. It's that I find the story to be a bit slow from that point on, because. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say it is a bit, because it's from that point on we get a few really nice little moments, but it in between those nice little moments it does drag a bit. Because I was going to say I love the bit when the Doctor saves Varna because his umbrella gets wrecked and he's really peed off about it, and I was like, lovely little moments like that are just about enough to keep you going. But it does get a bit, especially when Jamie gets into that fight and we get another 60s fight that you're just like, oh goodness me, McCrimmon, getting into a fight. But scenes like that they do drag a bit, don't they? But luckily there are some lovely moments in between to keep it going, I think.
No, you're right. And some nice little character pieces, but I just found the story from that point to be a bit slow, because it's a bit like because we know as the viewer what's going on. We know, obviously, that these people chosen as companions don't go on to do anything better. They're obviously killed by the Crotons. And it's just waiting for the characters to figure that out and to do something about it. So we have a lot of we should attack the Crotons. We don't need, and the rest of them are like, no, we shouldn't. And then it goes back to the Doctor, and because Jamie gets captured, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah.
And then he goes back to the Doctor and Zoe, and they're like, well, we need to sort this out. And then it goes back to the Gonds, and they're like, we need to attack the Crotons. And they're like, no, we don't. Then he goes back to the Doctor and Zoe. They're trying to figure it all out. So I found that it wasn't enough, to keep me interested in the middle part. I thought the beginning and the end were pretty good. The beginning and end were good, but just the middle part of the story just didn't keep me. I did reach for my phone a few times and check Twitter and stuff like that. But I did quite like it though. From what I did see, in terms, I'm talking about just how it was written, in the story now. I did quite like it. It was quite good, but I think, like you said earlier on, it just needed a bit more of a push. A bit more action in there at times, a bit more stuff going on.
Yeah, I think there's scenes that could have been sort of tightened up. I wonder if it's down. I'm not really sure where it falls flat. Actually, I think it might be down to the direction. Because as much as I like, it was David Maloney, wasn't it? David Maloney directed quite a lot of Doctor Who, and it's just a little bit. I think we said before, a bit flat, the direction. It could have been more exciting in terms of the Crotons themselves, because they got this big booming voice as well, you know. And there's that funny snake thing that they send out.
Oh, that fires the gas or the smoke stuff.
Yeah, because it's the ending to one of the episodes, isn't it? Like the Doctor falls over and seems to be rolling around on the floor for what feels like forever from this snake thing. But what I like about that is we then get this strange cube inside the Croton spaceship, which turns around to show the Doctor's face on it in this sort of pixelated view. And I thought, I love stuff like that, because that's very much of the era and very sort of psychedelic isn't the right word, but do you know what I mean? That's quite interesting. It's very unusual. Like, what's going on there? Why is this thing? But it's just face recognition, it turns out, so it's nothing that exciting. But visually, it works as quite a nice little thing. But yeah, I think scenes like that, and there's also the scene where the Croton's trying to find the Doctor and Zoe on location. It's like wandering around. You get like a POV shot of its gun for quite a long time, which is a nice idea, but it, as I said, there's no excitement there. There's no danger really. So I think things like that could have improved the storyline, because you could have had them. They don't really seem that scared of it. I think Zoe's like, "Oh, Doctor, there's something behind you," and he's faffing around. I can't remember what he's doing actually, but and also they blow up the TARDIS, and you're like, oh, TARDIS is gone. But it instantly comes back, and it just seems really pointless. I think random. You sort of, you feel like stuff like that's just literally there to fill 5 minutes. It doesn't actually have any consequence in the story. Because I was thinking, why do they resolve that so quickly? Like they could have left that hanging to the end of the episode, like Doctor the TARDIS, and he's like, and he then could have said, it's all right, Zoe. You know, I flick the switch or whatever he says. You know what I mean? But they just instantly solve it, which I find really bizarre. It's pointless.
No, one thing that I did quite like about the Crotons as a story element was they were always focused on their objective. So it's not like with some monsters that we've seen, even like real, famous ones, like in a couple of Dalek stories where they sort of delved into, the Daleks have got like a single motive, and that's it. But then we've had a couple of stories where we've almost grown to like one of the Daleks, and they've got a bit emotional stuff. With these, they were just continuously, trying to get done what he needed to do, because they captured Jamie, didn't they? But they just weren't interested in him.
No,
because they weren't what they called high brains.
Poor old Jamie. He's like, you're no use.
Because he's continuously drunk and fighting. They're just not interested in them. So, but they're after the Doctor and Zoe because
they're highly intelligent
beings, and there's no stopping them. A bit like Terminator. There's no stopping. They're just continuously plodding on, and they'll get it done. So I quite like that.
Is there only supposed to be 2 Crotons?
Yes.
Or is there supposed to be a fleet? So it is just the 2 that have crashed on the spaceship, yeah? Because I don't know why. For a minute, I thought they'd dispatch someone, but actually I think it's only the 2, isn't it? Because I think one of them sort of takes his little tube off and goes after them. I'm not sure.
No,
because before I watched it again, in my head, I was thinking there's supposed to be loads of them, but we only saw a couple. But having rewatched it, I think maybe it's just the 2 that have crash landed and they're trying to get back. Because when they go around the little table to try and get the Doctor and Zoe to, in the end, they're like, put on the headset, we're off. You're going to get us out of here. And I was thinking, how does a Croton wear that headset? But I was thinking, mate, it's only the 2 of them there. So, it's not like a fleet of Crotons. Well, a Croton army.
I was under the impression that there was a bunch of Crotons.
Well, that's what I thought. That's what I thought in my head, but having rewatched it, I'm not sure now.
Yeah, I was under the impression that there was quite a lot of them, but then just 2 newer ones were sort of created.
Doing it all.
While we were watching the story unfold.
Yeah.
Zoe's sort of onto it, isn't she? She realises that there's like a big sort of chemical reaction going on, isn't there? Because it's all based around sort of organic, like the ship's organic, some of it, and all that stuff. And she figures out that they've found a way to sort of use mental power as well, haven't they? They've sort of channeled that mental energy from these high brains and turned it into like pure energy to create more Crotons. That's what I thought the story was.
Yeah, that does make sense actually. Yeah,
but maybe I could be wrong. Maybe there is just two knocking about.
Maybe I take them as like the two leaders or whatever. Yeah. Croton leader.
Croton leader. Yes, I mean, story-wise, for me, it sort of dips down a little bit in the middle and then sort of picks back up again towards the end. It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad watch, really. It just sort of slows down a bit. It's just great. It's just, thank the Lord that Troughton's just amazing in it all the way through.
He absolutely shines in it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like you said, all the way through. He's just, when he's on screen, it's electric. Because it's one of those stories, it's... whenever I put it on, I am mainly watching it for him. I just love those moments with him. And something like, actually, I was going to say about the Dominators, but I won't because we haven't reviewed Dominators yet, have we?
Not yet.
No. Okay. I won't say what I'm going to say. But yeah, again, sometimes it can be a bit of a struggle, I think, when he's not on screen. You sort of, like you said, it's sort of check your phone time.
It is, yeah. But he comes out with some cracking lines, though, which we'll come on to,
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
So, I mean, story-wise, not bad. I mean, and then we have the other side of the story where we actually have this race, the Gons, and they're sort of very reluctant to upset the Crotons, even though unless you're one of these high brains that have been chosen and you go through, it's a bit like Stars in Her Eyes from years ago, do you remember? Where you sort of get dressed up in the big outfit and then the doors open and you go through and then you don't see them again.
I knew I'd seen that somewhere before, yeah.
So unless you're one of those people that have ventured through the doors, I don't think any of these people have actually seen the Crotons before. So a lot of them question whether they actually exist.
Yeah.
So the other side of it is this, and it's down to his son, isn't it? Cerberus' son, Thera. He's like leading the revolution, if you like. He's like, no, we have to stand up to the Crotons. We'll never be free. We have to destroy them, blah, blah, blah. And we've got that whole thing where there's sort of mistrust there and they're not happy with how Cerberus is running the place and, and all that. So that was like a good sort of pick me up, if you like, when the story slowed down a bit, because there's a lot of shouting going on.
There is, yeah, especially when they're smashing up all the set and all that. Yeah, they're really getting into it.
They're really going for it, yeah. So that was quite good. I thought the support cast were pretty good.
Yeah, on the whole, I thought they were. There are times when they go a little bit over the top, but I think it's Beta. I thought was good. He's the guy with the sideburns.
Oh, him.
Not the one in the fancy jacket. The other one. I thought he was pretty good because he seems to be playing it fairly straight and doing shouting, but not going too mad. There was somebody. Who was it? Who was going a bit over the top? It might have been Thara. I'm not sure. One of them was a bit OTT. I think is he the one that has? He's got a bit of a thing.
I think your thing.
Yeah,
Thara.
Yeah,
he had a bit of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, I thought the cast were pretty decent in it actually. So they seem to be, like you said, quite into the story and doing their best to sort of make it work. So yeah, not a bad cast overall. Yeah,
there was one guy that was written quite well, and he was like he was a bit of a vulture character. So he wasn't one of these guys that would sort of put himself ahead of anyone. He was quite sort of hide in the shadows, and then when it's all, when the situation's all done, he sort of pops out as like the great. He was called Elec, played by our friend Philip Maddock.
Yeah.
Did you notice him?
I did because I love Philip Maddock as an actor, and obviously he pops up in Doctor Who a few times, and he's in one of my favourite stories, Brendan Morbius. So yeah, it's good to see Philip Maddock in it. He's very much playing the cool, a bit. He's again playing the sort of character he often does play, that sort of cool, slightly snidey character. He's good in it. He's not in it as much as I always think he is. I always think he's a more prominent character than he is. But he's quite good at doing that part, I think. He pops up in the War Games, doesn't he? Which is which is not that long after this, I don't think.
No, the War Games was.
This is series. This is Pat's second. So I'm trying to work out where, because Pat, I think, had decided to leave at this point. So War Games can't be that far ahead
No,
of
I
this.
don't think it is. I think it's...
That's why they gave him those crazy glasses to make him look a bit different.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 episodes. I think the next one, it's a Space Pirates, and then the War Games, yeah.
Oh, is it that close?
Yeah, it's only 3 episodes on.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that. I thought it was quite a few. I think, oh my goodness, yeah. I was thinking it was like the next series. So it's interesting that he comes back so soon. But he's quite good, isn't he? I just quite like Philip Maddock as an actor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's his best part by any means. He's much better in, he's fantastic as Solon in Brain and Morbius. And he's good in the War Games. But yeah, I'll always think of him as Solon, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to see him in this. Just it would have been nice if he'd done a bit more rather than lurking around so much, throwing in the odd snidey remark.
Yeah, we love Brain and Morbius. And yeah, I quite like his character because he's very self-assured and quite, he just assumes he's going to take over, doesn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
But then when they all sort of downvote him and they prefer Thara, it's like nose is very much out of place there.
Yeah.
So we're actually talking about cast, and let's carry on talking about some of the other cast members. Selris, the current leader of the Gonds, I thought he was okay. It's a nice sacrifice at the end when he throws the Doctor the bottle of acid that he can use on the Crotons, and then he gets
gassed.
Yeah.
He's not too bad. There is something about him. He does almost feel like he's right on the edge of remembering his lines at some point, because obviously a lot of it was filmed pretty much as live back then, wasn't it? So
yes,
you can almost feel the tension when he every now and again sort of fluffs the line, but he just about gets away with it. So every time I see him, I feel he's right on the edge of getting his lines right. But he's not too bad actually in his performance. He suits the part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a lovely jacket.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Compared to the rest, I bet the rest of the cast are a bit envious of that jacket. But no, he's all right. He's not too bad at all.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
The other cast members, now I'm going to struggle to...
So am I.
To think about them much in the story because they all play quite fairly small parts. But I think we've spoken about the main ones. Varna, so she actually survives, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. Yeah.
Madeline Mills, yeah. She survives right till the end, and she's sort of there with Thara at the end, and it's all quite happy. And because they sort of assume the Doctor's going to hang around. But they do the off quite silently, don't they? They just sort of slip away. But Thara's quite happy with that. He's like, no, we have to sort of make our own sort of judgment.
Stand on our own 2 feet.
Yeah. It's time to cut the apron strings and we have to rebuild, So that was quite good.
Yeah, she's all right. She's quite glamorous, isn't she? I'll put money on it that Fraser Hines asked her for a drink after wrapping filming this. The devil. But yeah, she's good. I think in what she does. Again, she doesn't get many lines, but she's all right.
She's unconscious for a lot of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
she's pretty good. She has got that glamorous sort of 60s actress look, hasn't she?
Definitely.
And the other cast members, I don't think there's much to talk about because they're all just quite small little bits and lines here and there. Before we get on to the main cast, I just want to talk about the voice of the Crotons.
What, Zippy? Roy Skelton.
Roy Skelton, yeah.
And Patrick Tull.
There was one of our listeners, actually, one of our new listeners, in fact, sent in one of his reviews, and when the way that he described the voice of the Crotons is exactly how I thought when I was watching it at the time. And he said that they speak in a bizarre Cockney accented adenoid fashion.
Yeah.
And that is exactly how I thought that they were talking when I was watching it, because it's not like I don't know, like when you hear Nick Briggs doing a Dalek voice.
Yeah.
He's not, because he's relying obviously on the voice modulator to do a lot of the work. He's not overly forcing that through. He's sort of acting the part. But he knows sort of how a mechanical voice almost would sound, or an organic stroke mechanical voice would sound. Yeah. Whereas the voice of the Crotons on this one, it's not like you would expect, put it that way. Because when I first heard it, I was laughing so hard.
I bet you were. Yeah, I can imagine.
It's not like, this is what was that famous?
The Mysterons.
Yeah.
This is the voice of the Mysterons.
What did they see in that clip that we played? What did they shout at the beginning? That big booming voice. It's like, this is a something. What is it? This is a. emergency, or this is or something. You'd expect it to be like this is, but it's not like this is an emergency. It's you will not drain the exhaust part of this thing. Just the way they talk, it's just ridiculous. It just doesn't sound like what a robot would sound like, even if in some way you thought in your head, right, I can imagine back in the day they just said, don't worry too much because we're going to put some treatment on your voice. It's going to sound all robotic and stuff, so just do it as you would do it. But just the way that they speak, especially to the Doctor, is so funny because he's still playing it very serious.
Oh, yes.
Old Troutman, he's just like going through it amazingly as he normally does. But these voices are like, we will not be here for too long. The exhaust is ready to depart. And you just think, frickin' hell.
That's really good. It actually does. That's a very good impression. It does actually sound like him, yeah.
Well, yeah. Could you not find anyone that's not from, East London that's not going to make it sound like you're going to get a bag of chips, fish and chips at on your lunch break and stuff? I don't know. It's not the end of the world, but it's funny more than anything else.
Yeah, it does add to the charm of them. I think it does add to it. Yeah,
it's hilarious. I mean,
I'm never going to look at this story in the same light again. Stars in your eyes, tumble dryers.
Yeah, the tumble dryers. It's just like. Yeah, it's like
that. Like it should be on the buses. The Crotons on the buses. All right, my love.
Yeah. You won't watch it. If anyone's listening to this,
never going to watch it again.
You won't watch it the same way. No. And then quickly, then our TARDIS crew. So Zoe and Jamie. So those two, fairly on form as usual, I would say. They don't really get. I mean, Zoe does more, I would say, in the story. She's like the brains of the outfit.
She is,
I would say.
Lovely interaction with Pat, isn't it? I think in the scene she's in, she's just so good with Pat. I think. Well, they all are actually, but yeah, I like the fact she's cleverer than the Doctor, and she's quite smug about it.
Yes,
and he's like, well, I say cleverer, but she's
more clever.
She can get. She's quicker. She's more on the ball, shall we say? And he knows it, so that's quite funny.
Mm. Yeah, it's good. And she has got a sort of air of confidence about her in this one. And then Jamie, he just doesn't do much other than get into a tear up and then gets locked up.
Yeah, he does. He gets locked up, and he does have a nice little scene with the Croton. I mean, the Croton don't take a long time to notice that Jamie's getting that gun or whatever it is. He escapes very easily from the Croton. Yeah. But I'm going to put that more down to direction. I think Fraser's quite nice in it. The three of them together, I was going to say, they don't do much in their individual scenes, it's true, but the three of them together are just fantastic. You can so tell that they got on brilliantly off screen because they just absolutely gel as a TARDIS team, don't they? They're a brilliant TARDIS team, the three
very
of them,
cool.
I think.
Yeah, very good. And then Troughton, just brilliant as usual.
He's superb. As I said, I mean, this story would just be quite flat without him. He's just superb, and he's giving everything, isn't he? In terms of his performance, it's just wonderful to watch. All the stuff with the umbrella, the lines he throws out, jumping gobstoppers or whatever. And, the way he goes from serious to comedy, Pat's just brilliant. He always, even in a story that's maybe a bit subpar, I always want to see more Troughton. I could just sit through any story if he's in it, I think. Yeah,
it's because he's so interesting to watch. You never know what you're going to get scene by scene, because like you say, he goes from like real zany clown like to quite serious at times, and it's great. He's so good to watch. I know we've said it loads of times before, but you can see where Matt Smith got some of his inspiration from.
And he's the sort of Doctor that, because he pulls all sorts of things out of his pockets, doesn't he? That normally you'd think, what the Doctor carrying around? What does he have? He's got a bit of mica or something that he opens the door with, bottles of stuff. And you sort of think any other Doctor, you just sort of think, well, that's a bit silly. Like the Doctor would be carrying that around with him. But with Pat's Doctor, he's such a hobo, and you can just imagine he's got all sorts of junk in that jacket pocket, and the bow tie with the pinned on, and
Yeah.
just everything about his Doctor is just so wonderful. I think the umbrella getting singed, his face, and I wish I could remember the line because he says something really nice.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Something about the Brolly. He's like, look at that, or something, the voice, the facial expressions. He's just a fantastic Doctor. I so want them to find more of his stuff. I would love to see, I think, The Wheel in Space, because that's got a classic 60s robot in it that very often you see pictures of. I think it's Wheel in Space. Oh, am I getting confused? Anyway, yes, I would just love to see more of Pat. They need to find more of his missing stories. He's brilliant.
Yes, they do. Whoever they are.
They
need to go out and find them. Quick.
Yeah.
I think that's going to do. For like, is there anything you want to mention? Normally you say something about the music or the sound effects or whatever.
Funny enough, yeah, the one thing I have underlined is the sound effects, because I think they sound effects or / music in this do add to the story. They do. Okay. They create a good foreboding atmosphere to it, I thought.
Yeah.
Because like you said, even in the scenes where it's not much going on and it's quite dull, there's some good music from, is it Brian Hodgson?
Brian Hodgson, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, funny enough, the last thing I did just underline to remind myself was about sound effects, because I thought the direction was a bit flat, but I thought the sound effects added a nice atmosphere to it.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, but that's all I've got to say.
Yes. And if you want to check out, there's another story with the Crotons, and they sound a lot better. I checked out a clip earlier. They come back for Big Finish, don't they? Return Colin of the Crotons with Baker, Colin Baker, sorry.
I've got that. I haven't listened to it for donkey's years, but I seem to remember liking it, but can't remember anything about it.
Yeah. From what I heard, the clip I heard, they don't sound as Cockney and like they've got colds as much.
I can't remember.
They do sound a bit different. Yeah. So, with that, I think we'll move on to scores.
Okay, let's do the scores.
Whose turn is it to go first? I think it's me.
I think it's you.
Yes.
Cockney Croton.
Yeah. I will give this I'm going to give this a 6.
Wow, that's higher than I thought you'd give it.
I think I'm going to give this a 6, mate.
Good. I'm glad, actually. I thought you were going to go low. 6. Good score. I'm going to give it 7, Jamie.
A 7. 7.
I'm going to give it 7.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I quite enjoy it. Yeah.
You quite enjoyed it. Why did I take stuff? I think because it just slows down quite a lot in the middle. And I think if they'd have, it's very easy for us to say, isn't it? But I think if they'd have just put a bit more action in the middle and done this and done that, it's very easy for us to say. It probably would have been impossible back then. But yeah, I just feel like it's almost there. Like we said at the beginning. Yeah.
It is. It's so close to being great. And I think it's just good. Yeah.
Yes. So 6 from me, 7 from you. What did you guys think? Let's kick off firstly with an audio review. This is our good friend, Mr. Joe Sweeney.
Hello again, Adam. Hope you guys are well. The Crotons, in my opinion, it is one of the weakest stories out of the Classic Who era, and it stands out with the Dominators. This episode, I just found it stale, quite boring, and there was hardly not anything much going on, and also it was more of a filler, because they throw in excitements in, like the rubble falling on top of the Doctor and the Crotons trying to destroy the TARDIS, but besides that, the story just plods along. The Crotons was awful. Again, they didn't do much, and they were too easily defeated, and they were just a big waste. Patrick Troughton did give a fair performance, despite this was a weaker story. Jamie was good. He was quite handy with the Doctor's adventures, and Zoe was okay. The co-cast were okay as well. Overall, it's an okay episode, but it was more of a filler. So I'll give a score of a 4 out of 10. And I'm just being generous, guys. Farewell.
Thank you very much, Joe. I like that. I'm going to give you that score just because I'm feeling generous. There we go.
The One Show theme there, because I spotted Joe and his wife on the One Show. Nice to see you on there, mate, and thanks for the score. Sorry you didn't like the croutons.
The croutons, yes. Right, let's go to Facebook. We got a message from a new listener. This is Kevin Mullen. He says, the Crotons. Quintessential mundane Doctor Who and yet strangely watchable in a sadomasochistic way. The Crotons themselves speak in a bizarre Cockney-accented adenoidal fashion, which I totally agree with, Kevin, that is both ludicrous and yet utterly terrifying at the same time. Actually, no, I'm only messing. They're just ludicrous. It's a classic? Of course not. Do I enjoy it? Yes. But then again, I love, and I mean I seriously love, The Rings of Akhaten. And he gives this a 6 out of 10.
What was the chat's name? Kevin?
Kevin Mullen, yeah.
Oh, Kevin, I was so with you till the end there. I was just about to say, Kevin summed it up perfectly. It's mundane but highly watchable. I'm going to just skate over the Rings of Akhaten thing. But thanks, Kevin. I do agree with a lot of what you said there.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, and welcome aboard the TARDIS. Right, over on the... yes, we're already on Facebook, aren't we? Already on Facebook. Sammy Tassine says, the second Doctor, Jamie and Zoe, end up on a planet with the Gongs, who are being controlled by the Crotons. The Crotons set up a test and their brightest students are chosen before being killed, but the Doctor dissolves them with sulfuric acid, something I am certain Strax would love.
You would.
That's a good point. Story is good. I like how the Crotons are built up. To me, though, they are just more robots. The resolution is quite severe for the Doctor, melting them with acid. Nice to see Jamie and Zoe again, though. 6 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, good stuff.
Charlie Turner, hello there. I'm taking a break from commenting my thoughts this week. But could you do me a favour and wish me a happy birthday on the podcast? Of course. Happy birthday, Charlie.
No, he doesn't want any singing.
There's no singing, I'm afraid.
No. No. Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday indeed.
Happy birthday.
Next audio clip. This is Owen Daly.
Hi Gary and Adam, hope you're both well and enjoying the show this week. So the Crotons, this is Robert Holmes' first script, and I have to say Robert Holmes is my favourite Doctor Who writer of all times. He's produced many classics like The Deadly Assassin, Mysterious Planet, Talons of Wen-Chiang and Spearhead from Space, just to name a few. And I guess this was early days, so it's not as strong a script, as I don't think he had really perfected his formula yet. When I look back on the story, The Crotons, I always just think this is Zoe's introductory story for some reason. No idea why I think that, but if you to ask me Zoe's first story, I would snap back to The Crotons without thinking about it, which is a bit weird because she's been in the TARDIS for about 5 stories by now, probably more. So I've no idea why I think that, because obviously it was Wheeling Space that she was in. This story did drag in places, I must say, mainly in episode 2. I think episode 2 was the one, and also I thought the cliffhangers were fairly decent, nothing standout, nothing memorable, but it was enough to keep me going when I'm watching this on first viewing. So overall, I did enjoy the story. It was average. That's the way I would describe it. So I give it a 6 out of 10. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Excellent, cheers for that. Talking of the script, I have a feeling, he says, obviously Robert Holmes is very well known for writing classic Doctor Who, and this was his first story. I read somewhere that didn't Terrance Dicks dig this out of I think this started off that Robert Holmes just submitted an idea for a story, and Terrance Dicks dug it out of an old cabinet and said, let's finish this one off. So that might be why it's not his strongest. Perhaps they just said, there's a good idea, let's I don't know where I read that, but I'm pretty sure old Terrance was going through a backlog of old scripts you can imagine, can't you, just throwing them out, get rid of that, go, what's this one? Yeah, let's do this one. So that might be why.
That might explain it.
Yeah.
Right, back on Facebook, Joseph Howarth says, I'm going to try and remember what I thought about this because I've only seen it once, and that was when I was marathoning the second Doctor's era. He says, the Crotons, I remember the story was bad, but it's not the worst I've seen of the second Doctor as a whole. The Crotons look and sounded laughable as robots and move with the speed of a truck. There was far too many supporting characters and all of them bland cliches, and the acting from them is pretty awful. I do need to say anything about the effects. I'd say the Crotons is not the worst Doctor Who story I've ever seen, but maybe a bit unremarkable. For a lack of a better word, 4 out of 10.
Yeah, Thanks, Joseph. Fair enough.
Brian Dobson. This was the first Pat story I ever saw, so it has some nostalgia, moody and dark with some good dialogue, if memory serves, and a decent script from Who stalwart Robert Holmes. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, fair play.
Lachlan McGowan says the first story penned by Robert Holmes, and although he is my favourite writer for stories such as Spearhead from Space, blah, 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 The Crotons is nowhere near the status of those stories. If you forget about that, though, The Crotons is a decent story, and I just feel that it didn't translate very well to screen. Still, it's great that it survived the junking. I hope the Space Pirate survived as well, so we could be able to enjoy all of his stories. 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Lewis Palmer. I have not seen this one, but I really must watch it soon. So that's no good, Lewis.
Come on, Lewis.
Crikey, Moses. Come on. You get that watched right. Lastly, Finn Walsh says, we're talking about the absolute classic story. I really do love this one. Love the story, the atmosphere and the setting. Could easily be in my top 20 fave Who stories. Just really love it the first time. Probably I'll give this a 10 out of 10.
Wow, goodness me.
A 10 indeed. Very nice.
Good stuff, yeah.
Anything on the Geeks Handbag page?
Yep, we had a couple on Geeks Handbag. On the Facebook page, Patrick Sherwood said it's okay, not one of the best stories out there, but it is, I think it's okay. The Crotons are not the best monster in the Doctor Who, but I can live with them, and he's going to give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Cool.
Ash White simply says it's one of his favourites. So, yeah. And finally, Elliot Beasley over on Twitter said, The Crotons is undoubtedly one of the weakest Troughton stories. The Crotons themselves are poorly designed, particularly their lower half, which the camera and even the DVD cover are careful to avoid. The story itself is not very exciting. It could be best described as a filler in a season which includes the likes of the War Games and the Invasion. However, it's not all bad, and there's plenty of things to like. It's one of the only 2 surviving complete 4-part Troughton stories, so if it's relatively quick when viewed in sequence with the other stories around it. There's some good location work in the quarry, which actually looks like an alien planet in black and white, as well as some great chemistry between the Doctor and Zoe. Although it is one of the weakest stories of the era, Troughton's performance still manages to hold it up. So he's giving it a 6.25 out of 10. That may be a typo, I'm not sure. 6.25.
6 and a quarter.
Yes, 6. It might, yeah, 6 and a quarter out of 10. So thanks, Elliot. Thanks for messaging in.
Nice one. Thank you very much, guys, as always, for your thoughts and feelings on our review episode. Next week, we're going forward to the 10th Doctor. What are we doing next week, buddy?
Next week, yeah, it's werewolves and things.
And kung fu monks and...
Kung fu. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but the older kung fu. It's Tooth and Claw next week. 10th Doctor story, yeah.
Yes, this is a hidden one for me. I've not seen this one too many times.
This is very early on in 10's. Isn't this like right at the start of 10's?
Yeah, it's quite early on.
Proper series, yeah.
Yeah, series 2, I think. Yeah. Is it the start of series 2? It's quite early on.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's pretty early on, yeah.
Tooth and Claw. Big one. So I look forward to hearing your thoughts and feelings on that. So look out for the Facebook post and the Twitter stuffs.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to do that, mate.
Okay.
Thank you for sticking with us and listening to episode 114 or 114 or 114 11-4.
Doing a Croton voice.
Can't do it now, put me on the spot. Thank you for listening and for sending in your thoughts and feelings on the Crotons. If you haven't seen it yet, it's probably one to watch if you're really stuck and you haven't got much else to watch. But yeah, it's okay. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch. It's worth it just for Troughton alone.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely give it a watch. Troughton's great in it. Yeah,
he's great. Yeah. Next week, Tooth and Claw. Yes, the 10th Doctor is back, and we haven't. When was the last time we did a 10th Doctor story? Crikey, that was
Lazarus
back in
Experiment.
The Lazarus. Yeah, that was what, a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. So yes, we will look forward to your thoughts and feelings on that story. I hope you enjoyed our review of Class. We didn't want to go into like massive amounts of detail, otherwise we'll be here all day. We'll do like a 4-hour podcast and you'll probably switch off. You guys probably switch off after half an hour anyway. So having a massive podcast is so but yeah, we'll give you our review of the next one, episode 3, Night Visiting, I believe it's called, next week. But again, if you want to send us your thoughts and feelings on Class, then feel free to do so. Still interested in what you guys think.
Yeah.
All right, head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.com. You can listen to all of our previous episodes there, plus you can link off to all the other stuff, like Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, and you can also subscribe via iTunes. And if you are an iTunes listener, if you give us a review and a rating, that would be amazing, because it helps us loads. Thank you very much. Also, check out Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag. Do a search for that on YouTube and Facebook. Plenty of good stuff there.
Very busy at the minute. Very busy with stuff.
Very busy. You can see him smooching away with the mothball at the Class premiere.
Class premiere vid's up. Polarity Day vid will be on the way.
Rightio. Until next week then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...